Hi everyone, my name is Ariane Reed. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a transgender man who is currently 6 months pregnant. I don't know if you can see this. I'm a bit short. I want to make this video because when I was considering getting pregnant, I didn't know what would happen. I want to talk about what happens when you go off of testosterone. I want to talk about what happens when you get pregnant after having top surgery, especially keyhole top surgery, because I didn't have that information when I started this journey. So if you're not familiar, let me explain. Top surgery is when we transgender men have our breast tissue removed so that we can have the same chest as other men. The most common types are double incision and keyhole. Double incision revolves a complete removal of the nipples and they get grafted back on. I had keyhole. Keyhole, they just make a very small, like half circle sized incision right around the bottoms of the areolas, and they go in through that little incision and just sort of scoop out what you got and then just close you back up afterward. They don't take all of the mammary glands, they only take some, because cisgender men and trans women also have mammary glands. They typically leave at least some, because if they just took all of them, we would have a very sunken inward looking chest and it wouldn't look very natural. Double incision is far more common among transgender men. You have to have a very small chest size to qualify for keyhole top surgery. So I was only able to find 2 other transgender men who had had this same type of surgery before getting pregnant. By 12 weeks of pregnancy, their chest had already become bigger than it had ever been before they even had surgery. And then the other trans person said that they didn't have all that much change. There was noticeable change, but it wasn't so grand that they thought that they would need surgery. And they chose not to chest feed. That probably also helped keep it from getting any bigger. So I went off of testosterone sometime in late December of 2024. I went off by accident. What I recommend other trans guys do is go off of it very gradually. What I actually did was take point 2, completely forget that I'm trans, and just get so sucked into work because I make art for a living and I had a lot of orders come in and I was trying really hard to fulfill all these online orders. Thank you so much, by the way, to everyone who ordered my art. It really helps me. Anyway, I fully forgot about my own testosterone. And so the next thing I knew, it was January. I was finally just like passed out on my couch for like a week straight, just fatigued. So I took a test and realized I was ovulating and thought, oh God. If I did get pregnant that month though, it didn't last. I became really sick and really fatigued. So I asked a lot of people online and it turns out it is not normal. So if you experience that, you might want to take a pregnancy test. By the end of the month, I had my first doctor appointment with a trans-friendly doctor who I was really excited to see. I'd been on the wait list for a while. Finally got in to see her, and it was like right after that I had my period. My first ever post-testosterone period, which was actually very mellow and much sooner than I expected because I did research online and it seemed like most people got their period within 3 months and almost every person gets their period within 6 months of going off of testosterone. So to get it within like a little over a month, I was like, wow, that was fast. So I was very fortunate to have it happen so fast, and I had been planning to go off testosterone consciously in January so that by June I would be capable of getting pregnant, or at least like having cycles and maybe like working my way towards being capable of that. And my partner and I had a vacation planned to Japan, which we are still going on because I'm only 6 months pregnant, so not too far along. But we were trying to, not be pregnant during that trip, or at least to not be in the first or third trimester during that trip. Turns out I'm going to be at the very start of the third trimester, but that's on me. And also on my insurance company, because you know what? I asked for birth control to make sure that this wouldn't happen too soon, and they actually denied my request for birth control. Literally decided that they would rather pay for me to have a baby than pay $13 for a 90-day supply of birth control. So I decided to just do the family planning method. That didn't work, so don't try that at home. We are now having a baby, and you know what? We wanted a baby. Like, Our Japan trip was the only thing holding us back because we've been planning that trip for about 5 years because we were supposed to go in 2020. And then, guess what happened in 2020? And I'm just really happy that this happened because there's a lot of infertility in my family. So I thought I was going to be one of those trans guys who goes off testosterone, takes 6 months to get my period back, takes 2 to 3 years to get pregnant. I even ordered a ton of fertility boosting herbal supplements. I'm not complaining about not having to go through the whole trying to conceive endeavor because it can be really rough to be having cycles, especially as a trans person, and then having each one, not result in what you're hoping for at the end of each month. And so it's like another month and another month and another month of not getting to be on testosterone and just having things not working out. So I was really, really lucky and really, really thankful. And I also want you all to know that that's not a typical experience. So don't expect that to be your experience. You might have to wait a year or two before your body lets that happen. And some people even struggle and use IVF, just like any other cisgender couple. Trans people are also subject to a lot of the same things, but only at the same rates as cisgender people. Studies have shown that we have no worse and probably no better rates of fertility, just the same as anyone else. So just keep that in mind. That said, also be prepared for the possibility that things might just happen right away. So keep that in mind too. There is no formula for what's going to happen to you, but most people's experiences were that they had to wait about 3 to 5 months to get their menstrual cycle back. And during that time, they just felt really tired and they felt fatigued. They felt fatigued / tired and they felt a little bit depressed. That's it. So I won't bother listing all the weird symptoms that I had because that was very unique to me. So after I got pregnant, I immediately began to have all these sensations that are typically associated with PMS, and I'd never PMSed before. And I'm PMSing like a week and a half before my period is actually due, based on the first one and the fact that like in my 20s, during a brief time when I did let myself have periods, my periods were pretty light and they were usually 24 to 26 days long. So I just figured if my cycle started this day, then about 24 to 26 days later, I would get my next one. And obviously I never got it. The first thing that happened was my chest started hurting. I scheduled a doctor appointment because I felt like I had breast cancer because I had a mammary gland swell up and I thought I had a lump and I had these horrible headaches and I just felt really off. So after getting pregnant, my chest did change a lot. I'm just wearing a very lightweight sports bra because in pregnancy, breathing has been a struggle for me. So I can't really bind. This is about the amount of chest that I have so far. It happened pretty fast for me. So my chest was excruciatingly sore. And if you are cisgender and you've been pregnant, please let me know in the comments if this is normal or if you're a trans person who has never done hormones before you got pregnant. Please let me know in the comments because I don't know if it was supposed to be that sore. But for me, it was excruciating. The lightest touch to my chest was just so painful. Hugging people was the worst. I hated hugging people. I was so sensitive and I couldn't stand it. It was so sore. In these apps, which are meant for cisgender people only who've never had breast cancer or been trans or whatever, they were always like, oh, your chest will be sensitive or your chest will be tender. They never mentioned it would be like the sorest thing in the world. So yeah, it felt pretty horrible, but a lot of change happened. The next thing I knew, I had a chest size that is still smaller than what I had before I had surgery, but it is a significant change. I don't know yet if I will chest feed. I'm hoping to try, which is a weird thing to say after like spending my entire life saying I'm never gonna be a parent and I'm never gonna chest feed. I don't know with all the like complications that I had if I actually will be physically able to because I do have a dent on one side of my chest. And so that nipple is also dented in. I don't know if how we're even gonna get to that one and like use it. I don't know if I care. I wanna get my kids some antibodies or whatever is so important about breast milk and that's it. Otherwise, I'm happy to mostly just formula feed, which also allows my partner to bond with the baby more. I'm hoping to try to do both and to try to chest feed as much as possible and then also let my partner formula feed the baby so that we each get equal time with the baby. Another change that has been happening is my face has changed a lot. Before the end of the first trimester, I think my face was just completely feminine looking, but my gender stayed the same, obviously. But everyone else has been just looking at me like random strangers and gendering me as female and calling me she, her, ma'am, etc. on site. My voice has also gotten higher. It's still mostly broken, but I do go through periods of time where it breaks and I'm hoarse, or my voice just doesn't come out. Like there are certain notes that just don't come out, but others do. And I see all this as just a necessary sacrifice in the name of parenthood. And all of this is worth it in the long run because I'm going to have a child. My muscles have changed a little bit. They're definitely not as big and round. I don't feel as strong. Changes that have happened down there have been noticeable, but not too bad. And it has been smaller, and erections are a little harder to achieve. And I should start off by saying that I didn't have surgery down there. I just have the normal variation of genitalia down there for a trans person, for a trans man. But I'm pretty sure everything is still there. It just is like shrunken up on itself. My sex drive also like vanished during the first trimester. When it came back in the second trimester, it was just like, oh, now I have a sex drive again. And then it's been like kind of diminishing again as I enter the third trimester. I've just been really busy. And so far things have been good. It's just been a little awkward trying to do things with someone in the bedroom while pregnant. The belly gets in the way. The fact that you can't lie on your back gets in the way. There's a lot of things that it's like, oh, now we have to figure out a different way of doing this. Body hair hasn't really changed except for on my face. My face has a lot less. I have a little bit underneath my chin, and that's all I have left. Maybe some less hair on my arms, actually. The butt hair, the leg hair, all that hair is still there. My happy trail, it's more of a mildly content trail rather than a happy trail. That's really all the things I can talk about that are specific to trans men. There's just a lot of, other symptoms I've had that are just specific to pregnancy. And I wish I had known before getting pregnant that I was going to spend the entire time being nauseous. I thought that was just a first trimester thing. And a lot of the pregnancy apps all say, oh, now you're in the second trimester or the third trimester, like your morning sickness should be long gone. And it's like, no, it's not. Socially, being trans and being pregnant has been really difficult just because a lot of people treat me badly. Not a lot, but some people, random strangers online who just send you messages like, you're a woman, blah, 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 because they don't seem to know the difference between women versus female. But I also get a lot of people in my regular life who, for some reason, think that getting pregnant was going to change me. I think they were hoping I would go by different pronouns or identify as a woman or something. I was not prepared for that. I also have just a lot of people that I run into who really don't like the look of someone who is pregnant but wearing like very masculine clothes and obviously identifying in a very masculine way. Especially if I wear he, him pronouns while I'm walking around with my pregnant belly. People really hate that. So because I live in a very unsafe area and I want to protect my kid, I have been not wearing my pronouns pin. I just don't want my kid getting hurt inside me, even though it's hard to be misgendered and to just let that happen. And I've also had to switch back to using the female restroom because the male restrooms usually only have like maybe 1 or 2 stalls and it's like all urinals, which of course I can't use. And when someone's in the stall, they take forever. And I also can't wait for a restroom. It's always been difficult and now it's just like so much worse. And now I have to use the restroom like constantly. And I look feminine, so a lot of guys are starting to look at me twice while I'm in that room. And I'm just feeling really unsafe. And so I've been forced to have to use the female restroom just for my own safety and for the sake of my health. Especially since my baby is also in the breech position, which just makes all of it so much worse because now they're kicking me in the bladder. It just makes you feel like you have to go so much more urgently, especially when they like to stretch and they like to really push that foot down against the bladder. Coming out to family members was very difficult as a trans person. First off, when I was telling family members that, we were thinking about having a kid, we didn't really get much positive responses from people. We got like a lot of concern. Got a lot of like, oh yeah, I'll believe that when it happens. Like, don't tell me, I don't even believe you. Or just like, oh, you sure you want to do that? And, you know, just a lot of not positive reactions to it. Whereas when a cisgender person in my family told everyone that she wants to have a kid, everyone was super stoked. Everyone was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And like, they were texting me. I was just like, why couldn't I get that same reaction? You know, I really wanted support and love and to know that people are going to be there for me. So I also had a lot of jealousy at first because it took me years just to find a doctor who was willing to oversee my pregnancy and who knows anything about trans people. A lot of doctors ran out of the room on me. I just came in there just for a routine appointment. I got a lot of bad reactions. It was just a really embarrassing journey for me because it just, people running out of the room like I'm this monster, like just made me feel ashamed, even though I knew I had nothing to be ashamed about. And it was just a big struggle for me that it wasn't for other people. Other people could just instantly have that care, not have to wait several years. That said, pregnancy wasn't going great. I have no idea what to do with curly hair. I normally straighten it, but in pregnancy, straightening my hair lasts maybe an hour and then starts curling back up again. So if you have any suggestions about what to do with curly hair, especially short curly hair, please leave those down below. Please let me know in the comments what your experiences have been as trans people or as pregnant people. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for being here.